Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Grow Show. My name is Mark, and today I'm speaking with Henry Thomas at TM Construction in Ellensburg, Washington. Henry, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, hey, Mark, thanks for having me.
Yeah, fantastic. So taking a look, it looks like a great company. You and a buddy merged your companies here in the last few years. Would love just to kind of hear in your words what services you provide for your customers.
Yeah, so kind of interesting location we're in. It's a historic downtown that we're based in, so a lot of old masonry buildings. So we handle a lot of historic preservation work, a lot of new construction, a lot of remodels, and then commercial construction. Kind of being agile and able to move throughout the greater industry within the different subsections has become very important to us. You kind of keyhole yourself into one, you get stuck, whereas we touch a little bit of everything that the community has to offer. Does really well for us.
Fantastic. So you guys do commercial and residential as well?
Correct. Yeah. So I'm currently sitting in our office is located in a 22,000 square foot historic building we did a bunch of work on in 2024. And so I've always had a love for old buildings. I grew up in an old farmhouse. They're really cool to work on. So yeah, we do a lot of kind of light commercial and then do some new commercial work and then TI improvements as well.
Gotcha. What percentage of you guys work is commercial?
I would say 20%. The commercial market isn't as strong this year as it was years past. We typically do a lot more residential work. That's kind of been our outlooks for the next 3 years, pretty heavy residential.
Gotcha. So, I'm always curious, Henry, when we, talk with folks that kind of retrofit older buildings, commercial, residential, there's always the issue. I mean, I've done some real estate stuff, there's always the issue of, get into an old building, you're going to have some old problems. Oh, yeah. And you never know what you're going to run into over there. How do you guys do your, it's all TM. I mean, how do you guys kind of estimate and, prepare someone for when we open up these walls, we're going to find some things that we didn't expect and things may change?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of the times we have to have that very honest, brutal conversation prior to even, dotting a line and getting that thing started. It's, hey, this is an old building. It's not if, it's when we find something wrong. Always have a contingency built into your budget. We typically try to do a ROM proposal, say, this is kind of what we're expected based on, known conditions, kind of known scope, known architectural engineering plans. But it's really hard to actually associate a cost. We've actually been really leaning heavily on a cost plus contract where we're 100% open book. You get to see what our vendors charge us, and we agree upon a markup prior to slating the contract. It's really helpful because it creates a level of a really good teamwork between your client and the builder. They get to know your tradesmen. They get to see where their money's going. Cost overruns do become an issue sometimes. We have experienced that on projects where clients have grandiose ideas where, oh, I want to do this. Well, while you're here, why don't we do that? Why don't we do this? And all of a sudden, price can jump pretty quickly. But we try to do our best to keep the client on track by using our different construction softwares to say, hey, this is where you're at in the budget right now. This is our projected completion. This is kind of your difference on spending. So we try to be as transparent as we can. It's hard to do, especially in old buildings. We ran into a massive rot issue on this project that we're currently in. And it was about $80,000 unexpected where started pulling some of pulled the first floor off. Waterproofing and flashing details were not really a good thing, turn of the century. So we discovered a lot of water intrusion through the old masonry. So it was pulling that off, bringing the engineer in to kind of say, hey, what's actually impacted, and having the architect detail out a really good waterproofing system and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to bring in, modern pressure treated engineered material to rebuild a floor system, do this correctly, waterproof everything out, so that way this issue is a one and done.
Gotcha. And can I ask you, I'm just curious, Henry, I mean, has this piece about like setting expectations, well, I mean, we've run into this with our business, we set expectations sometimes, they don't, a client ends up not happy for whatever reason, well, because we didn't set expectations well. Has your process of how you kind of quote and have that conversation with a prospect, with a client, changed over time as you've realized, okay, we need to, has it evolved some to say we really need to set these expectations kind of clearly? I mean, it has, this is almost a personal issue for me, and I'm learning about right now. And have you found that that's something that you've worked on over time and said, okay, we ran into some issues over here where there was some, whatever, we didn't exactly lay out that, there may be an $80,000, new expense over here. And so we need to get really, really clear when we're talking with folks, kind of just based on our past experience.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is because, with a cost plus contract, the way we have it written in our contract is, the client may order a change order, but typically we like to be very informative and say, hey, even though we could halt work, put a stop work order on everything, let's actually break this thing down, look at what it looks like. Because I think being, very proactive versus reactive is very important. As time's gone on, we've been very good about making sure our system has changed to where we are almost too communicative to a point and to a fault. It's a good thing, though. I mean, I'd rather have my clients say, hey, I get it. This is going to be a lot. This is a big change. Let's do it. I guess the flip side of that is, when we build custom homes, we're typically within 5% on our initial proposals. We know what our costs are going to be. We have a really good group of subcontractors that we work with, and they're pretty dang good about estimating too. We're very selective with who we want to work with. There's a large vendor pool here, and we know the guys not to call and the guys to call. We don't really like to change who we work with. That relationship to us is key, especially when, we say jump, they say how high. And that's really beneficial for us.
Gotcha. So you had a company, Henry's Ponderosa Construction, and then you had a buddy, Troy Morris, with Mountain Construction, and you guys decided in kind of 2023, 24 to join forces, and now it's a partnership. How did that kind of all come about, and what was that like getting together and kind of starting a new venture here together?
Yeah. So when I launched my company originally, I thought, I'd always be the guy in charge forever, have my crew work for me, and then took on a really large project. 22,000 square feet's a lot to try to condense into we turned this project around in 9 months. Full gut. Yeah. Full, both structural, seismic, and then full build out with two big TIs in the first floor of this project. So it was a ton of work to get done in a small time. Troy had always been a guy I've known, he does good work, and said, hey man, I could really use another, 8 carpenters on a job. What do you guys think? And he said, yeah, we can fit that in. Saw the way he ran his business, saw the way I ran my business. And we started having a lot of conversations about, man, this works really well. What do you think about something greater? And it was like, well, maybe in a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he realized that, our growth together was very, very powerful. He's an Ellensburg local. He grew up here. For those that don't know, Ellensburg is kind of where the West meets the West Coast. We're known for our rodeos. We're very ag central here, but we're an hour 45 from Seattle. So it's very weird. It's a very weird place to live. I wear cowboy boots to work, but you go further west and you're in the true, Puget Sound lowlands, rain every day, whereas we're 300 plus days of sunshine over here. So he grew up here. I'm a transplant. I came here to go to Central Washington University for construction management, and a lot of people here stay. They love the community. They love the culture, and I'm definitely one of them. I didn't know a soul moving here, and I got to know a lot of the people that work in the downtown, own buildings and whatnot. And his family knows a lot of kind of what I call the old guard. So that combination of kind of knowing everybody as a company has been so beneficial. I mean, we've gotten jobs simply because people know his last name.
No kidding.
Yeah, it works out great.
And then Henry, how do you, with the partnership and, you guys both had your own companies, have come together now. I mean, how do you split up kind of duties? And I mean, is everything just a complete, how do you get to work together? How does that partnership work?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So Troy has a very long list of good skill sets that he is definitely better at than I am, and I am definitely better at some things than he is. So I handle all of our pre-construction work. I bring the client in. I talk through what a contract looks like, what the build process looks like, different selections, go through, hey, this is our preferred vendor for this is our preferred vendor for that. These are the cabinets we like to work with. And then I kind of build I build the job together, and then Troy gets brought in. He typically does a senior project management role where he's overseeing the day-to-day of the project. It works out really well. We know where our strong suits are. I like being out in the community. I like interfacing with people. He definitely likes to be behind the computer, very much a numbers guy. He gets things done, and it works really well. We don't step on each other's toes, and we also know when to call each other on their stuff and say, hey, I want to do it that way. Let's do it this way. And we'll go, okay, we respect that. That's what a good partnership is about, is knowing when, say, hey, you're right. I'll follow your lead on this one, or vice versa.
Oh man, that's fantastic. How many folks do you guys have on your team?
It's funny enough. So we actually scaled down from 16 to 2. It was kind of a long conversation we had. We had always been a self-performing GC, but as the work has changed from doing a lot of larger commercial work where having manpower is justified to doing a lot more with the residential side of things, we have a lot of really good subcontractors that can do everything from demo, they can do pickup framing, they can frame the house, they can do siding, and having that relationship with them where, they're working on 5 or 6 of our projects at a time. And we say, hey, these are punch list items that got to get done. Let's go have you guys do that. Takes the payroll burden off of us and allows for us to have a lot more time in the office and supervising a site to make sure everything is being hit correctly, where we can actually look at the detail and make sure that detail is hit. That conversation came over about 8 months of conversation that Troy and I had of, hey, how is this working? We did build a couple of pro formas to see what would work. And we found that working as kind of a 2-man project management team works incredibly well. It's boosted our numbers. I mean, this year is going to be phenomenal for us. Next year's looking even better. And it's alleviating stress. And it's hard because, I've always been a guy who likes having guys in the field that, wear our logo. But at the same time, you got to put your pride aside and actually do what's best for the customer.
That's so great. Mm-hmm. So even though, you're working with subs and they've got their now kind of own insurance, their own sort of overhead, and I don't know, they ultimately are charging more at some level. I don't even know exactly how that flow goes, but these guys have been working with you for a long time, so you guys have got your thing down. But even though you've moved into this subcontractor model with guys, with their own trucks, own tools, it still is better for the bottom line, essentially, for you guys to do that.
Oh, completely. Yeah. The numbers have proven themselves time and time again that this has become the better model. Yeah. We kept one guy on payroll just to do pickup stuff where he's, running to the lumber yard. Hey, we got to go grab 20-foot deck boards for this job. Vendor missed them, whatever it might be. Hey, we got to do a quick trash pickup on that job. He'll go grab a dump trailer. Because that's the thing is, we still have, as a general contractor, all the tools. We've got the heavy equipment. And it's allowed us to step back and look at, business growth. I think that's the biggest thing is what's sustainable? How do we continue to scale economically and also look at new opportunities? And I think that's been really, really good for us. And with, kind of the challenging times that the industry has kind of been in the past 2 years, taking that liability off of us means, we're not having to go shell out payroll every 2 weeks. That, there's always kind of that looming factor. Our guys never missed a payroll when they worked for us, but now it's kind of that looming factor's gone.
Interesting. So you, you're a community volunteer, you're big into fishing and hunting, spending time out in the wild. Mm-hmm. As you've built this company and it's gotten busier, when we move from working for someone else to starting your own company, I often think, I'm going to be free, but don't necessarily have more free time in any way. How have your other hobbies and things been impacted by this? Are you still able to get out and spend plenty of time, on the boat and, and hunting and
opening turkey's coming up. I'm going for opening day. I'm in the middle of the week too. I kind of told my clients, I said, hey man, opening turkey only happens one day. Got to go out and get it. Obviously, yeah, I've had to sacrifice. It's not like, in my early 20s when I was still able to go out and go hit it hard every weekend and go fish and hunt. I still make time on the weekends. Troy and I have both had that conversation of the weekend is pretty sacred time. Spend it with family, spend it doing things you like to do. And we really let our clients know that. And they're very good about reciprocating that respect where if they reach out on a Saturday or a Sunday, it's because there's something that's actually going on. Hey, a tarp blew off of a roof, or we get high winds here, so that's a occurrence that we had about 3 weekends ago. We had a tarp blow off of a roof, so we were up there on a Sunday, getting that thing squared away. But we're not letting that eat into our time. We're really good about making sure, hey, if we're going to go on a vacation, or we're going to go on a hunt, we're going to go on a fishing trip, whatever it might be, we plan that out. We make sure it happens, because we got to keep our sanity as business owners. You can't sacrifice what you love to go do, or what are you doing it for?
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What a great story. Well, Henry, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing, everything, the way that you guys, deal with contracts, cost overruns, setting expectation with customers, kind of the team as it's, changed over time, and the way you guys run the business and the partnership. It's a great story, and I have a personal love. I mean, I grew up hunting and fishing. We're here in Colorado, and we still get up and do a fair amount of fly fishing as well. And yeah, just great to have you on to hear the story. If folks are looking for a great company in Central Washington, and to come and do some residential and or commercial work, what are the best ways to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, so we both have a large social media following, as well as a great website, tmconstructionnw.com, and then tmconstructionnw on both Facebook and Instagram. You can find us there. We have multi-weekly posts where we highlight a lot of our jobs. We also do a couple fun videos that are kind of trendy. It's good. We have a social media team that makes sure to keep us in the know, and make sure we make all of our work look good.
Fantastic. Well, head on over to tmconstructionnw, like northwest.com, or check these guys out on Facebook or Instagram. Henry, thanks again for spending time with us today and teaching us about your company.
Mark, hey, thank you so much for having me.